Hello everyone, my name is Elia.
My name is Sophie.
We are project officers at the Managing Authority Joint Secretariat of the Interreg Baltic Sea Region program. In this tutorial, our team would like to give you some tips for the development of your small project. Small projects have a simplified project structure, a limited budget, and a shorter implementation period. This is a new tool to facilitate entry to the Interreg Baltic Sea Region program, and it is especially targeted at local and regional authorities, but also at non-governmental organizations.
Let us go together through the main steps in the development of your small project. In short, the steps are the following. First, you will define the challenge, the target groups of your project, as well as the needs of these target groups. This will enable you to set the objectives of your future project. In parallel with this process, you will build the partnership of your project. Then you will develop the work plan and plan the outputs of your project together with your future partners. But let's have a closer look at them.
Step 1. Defining challenges, target groups, and setting project objectives. Your starting point is to analyze the situation in a particular sector. Based on your thorough analysis, you should identify a challenge in the Baltic Sea region that you would like to tackle in your potential project. You identify what you would like to improve with your project, you formulate the gaps that you would like to fill, and the opportunities you would like to seize through your project.
It is essential that your challenge requires transnational cooperation to be tackled. You should clarify why the identified challenge cannot be solved by one country only and why the involvement of several countries in the Baltic Sea region is needed.
When you identify the challenge, you should also check whether it corresponds to one of the objectives of our program. To do that, we recommend to watch the tutorials on the program objectives.
Then you should define the organizations that are affected by the challenge and have the competence or mandate to influence it. In our program, we call these institutions target groups. The program aims to enhance the institutional capacities of the target groups to address existing problems and challenges and improve a given situation in the Baltic Sea region. Consider why your target groups would be interested in taking part in your potential project and confirm it with them. In other words, identify and formulate their needs.
You can define up to 5 target groups that you would like to involve in your potential project. Be specific and think of which countries, regions, and sectors your target groups should represent. For example, municipal authorities from Denmark, Germany, and Poland in charge of water supply and wastewater treatment. Formulate their needs and interests in taking part in the project and in using its outputs after the end of the project. For example, these municipal authorities would apply a cooperation model for the improvement of water management already successfully implemented in one of the other countries in the partnership.
Having identified the challenge that your target groups are facing and their needs in this context, you can formulate the objective of your project. Think about how your project will support the target groups to meet their needs and will enable them to actively address the challenge. In other words, your project leverages a positive change in the region by increasing the capacity of certain target groups. This positive change can be achieved through building and developing resilient economies and communities, water-smart and climate-neutral societies.
Within the defined project objective, a small project should address one of the following specific aims. Building trust that could lead to further cooperation initiatives, initiating and keeping networks that are important for the Baltic Sea region, bringing the program closer to the citizens, allowing a swift response to unpredictable and urgent challenges. Select at least one specific aim and explain how your project will address it.
To further elaborate on the context and relevance of your idea, it is helpful to refer to the action plan of the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region, as well as the key strategic or policy documents on municipal, regional, or national level related to your challenge.
Step 2. Building your partnership. From the very beginning, you should plan and form your partnership. Organizations that you plan to involve as partners should have competences and experience to implement the planned activities. It is essential to include representatives of your target groups in the partnership. It is also essential that all partners have a clear role in the implementation of the project.
You should include at least 3 partners from 3 countries of the program area. When applying for a small project, you should follow the program rules regarding the composition of the partnership. For example, which institutions can become lead partners. You can find these rules in the program manual in Chapter C, Requirements Towards Partnership.
The partnership of a small project should mainly include public authorities from local, regional, or national levels, as well as non-governmental organizations. Due to a simple structure and a more limited budget, up to €500,000, the partnerships of small projects do not have to be large. The partnership depends on the activities you plan to implement in order to achieve your objectives. We would also like to attract organizations that have never participated in the program in the past to take part in small projects. Therefore, we encourage you to involve them in your partnership. To help you find project partners, we created a new matchmaking tool. Please use it in your partner search. You can also involve some institutions as associated organizations. These are organizations which support the project but do not receive program co-financing.
Step 3. Building your work plan. Through your work plan, you should demonstrate how you plan to achieve your project objective and specific aims. The structure of the work plan of small projects is rather simple. It contains only one work package. You can plan up to 5 groups of activities in this work package. Breaking down a work package into different groups of activities is a way to manage the steps that are necessary for the completion of the project. In each group of activities, you should organize your activities in a way that leads to the development of a deliverable or an output. But what are these? An output is a tangible and durable product of a project which has to be used transnationally by the target groups. A deliverable is an intermediary step to reach an output.
In your project, you should produce at least one output that contributes to achieving the objective and specific aims of your project. We encourage you to test your output through joint piloting. It is, however, not compulsory in small projects. If you decide to do so, your output will be called a solution. In this case, you should check the definition of a solution and the definition of pilots in the tutorial on core projects. In all cases, your activities should go beyond pure networking and knowledge exchange.
The outputs produced within small projects need to support relevant target groups inside and outside the partnership to improve their capacities. All outputs have to be tangible and durable. Here are some examples of activities and outputs of small projects. Partners could organize activities strengthening the cooperation between municipalities and companies and/or universities and research institutes through the implementation of cooperation models. Public authority partners could develop or improve a cooperation model with the business sector to better implement their smart specialization strategies. Partners from different Baltic Sea region countries could harmonize their standards in a particular sector. Partners could jointly pilot already existing technologies. Partners could develop green concepts for municipalities. Local public authority partners could cooperate with local NGOs to develop a training scheme for citizens on how to live in a circular way.
When planning your activities and outputs, please use the results of other projects and initiatives implemented in the same sector. Build your projects on their results and do not duplicate what has already been implemented. Please also study ongoing initiatives and plan cooperation with other projects to aim at synergy and avoid overlapping. In particular, with the projects from cross-border cooperation programs.
Step 4. Ensuring durability. When planning your project, think in advance how to organize the institutional and financial support to keep the outputs functional after the end of your project. Plan also the specific roles of the different partners in this process. This is what, within the program, we call the durability of a project. It is a key feature of a good project to have outputs that are used and will remain useful after the project ends.
To end this tutorial, let us give you some information on the indicators to which small projects need to contribute. Output indicator, organizations cooperating across borders. This indicator counts the project partners and associated organizations indicated in the project data. Result indicator, organizations with increased institutional capacity due to their participation in cooperation activities across borders. This indicator counts the project partners, associated organizations, and any organization outside the partnership that actively participated in cooperation activities of a project. In your online application form, you will find a guidance on the way indicators are calculated.
If your small project develops piloted solutions, additionally, it should contribute to the following program indicators. But once again, this is only optional for small projects. Output indicator, jointly developed solutions. Result indicator, solutions taken up or upscaled by organizations. You will find their definitions in the tutorial on core projects.
Thank you and good luck!